Oh, there we go. Okay. We're live now, and you can see our faces now.
Wow!
And
Pulling out
uh,
all of the stuff so you get video and audio.
yeah, I actually can work the controls this week, maybe, hopefully.
Hey, you know what?
Yay.
You work them better than me.
If you say so. Uh, last week's video proves otherwise. Anyway, this week we're discussing, in episode 7, uh, joking on the title, Who is the Protestant Pope? So we're going to be asking Elizabeth some questions about hierarchy, dogmatic decisions, just how do things work in a Protestant church?
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's all I've got.
So, okay, can I just give like a little intro of why this might be important?
Yeah, do it.
Good with everybody. So I think for like this is something that we run into a lot, I think, when we chat is that um like I will have like, oh well, like the church believes this, like we do this. And that process I think is really important for Catholics. And we're like, oh, like, well, my church believes like XYZ. And it's like when I say, my church believes, that's like the whole of the Catholic Church. And so I think sometimes when Catholics and Protestants have these conversations about different stuff, like Catholics can, I think, get very confused when we're like, well, like what do you mean you don't have like this much information about like angelology about hell, like just like very random, like very specific things that Catholics can really like dive into, because it's just been like one thing for like a bazillion years and we haven't really touched like, so I think talking about like how the Protestant structure works, like how different like individual churches work, how the like doctrine is decided, is really an important thing to understand for a Catholic who might be having this conversation with a Protestant friend, because you're coming at, oh, I got Elmer's glue in my hair and I just found it. Very distracted. I like, anyway, it was a very beautiful fall of tree pom pom craft that we were doing today. So anyway, I forgot what I was talking about, but yeah, I think it's important for us to understand like that difference and that process, so that when we're having these conversations, we like coming from when we get into things that maybe matter more, like controversial issues. I don't know, God stuff.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah, no, that's good because I feel like sometimes we talk past each other and then we're like, don't even realize we're not talking about the same thing. So I feel like, yeah, that was a good way to put
Yeah,
it.
it's kind of like walking it back,
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So yeah, how do you want to start? Do you have a like first kind of question?
Yes, I have like a lot of like weird, like a lot of them are the way I normally am, just like very abstract. Like I don't feel like they're really, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, go
So
for it.
actually, could you maybe just intro like like obviously blah blah blah, all Protestants are different, blah blah blah. But like, could you just kind of intro like your specific church, like the structure of it? Like, are there multiple? Is it just like this one church, like in Bedford? And this is like, could you just kind of like talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Yeah, so as you just said about like the Protestant is like a big umbrella term and there's like a bunch of different denominations and then there's the non-denominational churches that aren't part of a denomination. And a
They
denomination is
puzzle
like
me.
what?
They puzzle me.
And then so like the a denomination is kind of like a group of churches that has like shares core beliefs and shares different stuff. It's each denomination is different. Like I don't really know much about. I mean, not much about my own, but like about other ones. Like so,
Yeah.
when I talk about like the structure of mine, I don't like not every denomination is like set up this way. This is just like ours.
Mhm.
But I'm part of the our church that we go to is part of the Evangelical Covenant Church, which is a denomination with churches like around the world. So it's not it's like it's a small denomination like compared to you think of like ones that you've heard of like Methodists or Presbyterian like um yeah, it's pretty small. Like if I say Evangelical Covenant, people won't be like, "Oh yeah, yeah, yeah." Like most people don't know the name. Um, Yeah, but there are churches in other countries and stuff too. And
That's
then
cool.
yeah, so and then we have like in like there's different like conferences, like different groups. So like we're in the East Coast Conference, like because we're in New Hampshire.
Mhm.
And then there's like there's different staff members that work specifically for the East Coast Conference or things like that that are like
Oh,
way to kind of break it up. Like not that we have different beliefs, like we're all one denomination, but I think it's just to kind of sector it like so that people can be like,
yeah.
like lead over these groups of churches. So like
Yeah, like logistics.
yeah, so Evangelical Covenant is a denomination. We're in the like East Coast Conference. And then we have our like own church, Bethany Covenant Church in New Hampshire. Fun fact, there's also a Bethany Covenant Church in Connecticut, which
Really?
yeah, so it's funny. Our lead pastor right now, like he's been here a little over 2 years, but and his last church that he pastored was the other Bethany Covenant.
And that's an evangelical covenant church?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So
That's
he's like, "Welcome to Bethany Covenant Church. I'm a new pastor, but I've said that a million times." So
that's really fun. Wait, so did the pastors do they like specifically like they're like an evangelical covenant pastor or like could your pastor actually like be like, oh like I'm gonna go pastor like a Methodist or like I don't know what the rules are for Methodist, but like do pastors like intermingle
I,
between?
you know what? That's a good question. I'm not entirely sure. You I think there's certain like qualifications, like an ordination or something for like some churches that they'll require like you have to be like ordained in the covenant or something, but I'm
Yeah.
not positive on that. Fact check me if you're watching this and want to know more. But I think there are like I know like the covenant has like a almost like a covenant LinkedIn. So like if you're a pastor and you're like feeling like ready to leave your church and you want to stay in the covenant, like you can see what positions are open. And I think there's a little check if you're like kind of feeling like you're at the end of your ministry, there like you can put like open to call so people can know that like you're kind of ready to start moving on. So I think I don't know the answer to that specifically, but I think there is among pastors sometimes a sense of like I want to be a pastor in this denomination. Um
Wow. I'd
yeah.
always wondered that.
Yeah, I
That's
don't know like if that's right, like all the way right, but I think there are some who are like want to stay in the denomination. But I know like a pastor, well, she wasn't like actually like a lead pastor. She was a children's minister, but she um after she finished at our church, she switched to a non-denominational church and she's a pastor there. So like you can like it's not like once you're in the covenant you can't leave. But I think that
Right.
there
Like
sometimes is a sense of like this is kind of the denomination like I align with their beliefs, like I know this church system a little bit and wanting to stay in it.
that's cool.
Yeah.
an
Wow.
Yeah,
interesting
and
idea of being
it's
able to be like, open to another call to another parish. Like, just,
Yeah.
just
That's
never.
really fascinating to me.
Yeah.
yeah, because like do your pastors or your priests like ever like decide they want to leave or are they more like kind of assigned like
Um.
as an
It,
assignment?
it's
They get sorry, Matt. I
I.
can't see your face. It's so challenging.
It's fine. It's okay. I forgive you. Uh.
Little problem.
So essentially, they can request it, but it's ultimately up to the decision of the bishop what he wants to do. He has the ultimate authority of where they go. Or in the
And
case of something like a religious order, like the Franciscans, that we know, it's up to the um, what they
Bless
call
you.
the minister provincial, or the leader essentially of those Franciscans in that area. They make the final decision who's assigned where.
Yeah,
and
they take a vow of obedience. So like
Mhm.
they decide that they can't decide.
Yep.
okay, so like um what is a bishop though? Like I know that word, but like what is it? Like who is he actually?
Great question.
Yeah.
Wish I knew any theology.
Uh,
Is he like does he lead a group of churches or like what is his like
it's
So I kind I would go more like top down because I think the way Catholicism works is like a little bit different because you have like Peter, first pope, all the down, down, down. Now you have Francis. And so when they were first, so like every place in the like known world is a, like put in a diocese. And so a diocese would be it's not really like the churches that matter, it's actually the geographical area.
Okay.
So the moon is a part of because people were once on there's like all this like weird stuff like in Catholicism that like because like Catholicism was here before the New World. So like when the New World happened, like all of a sudden they discovered this lands, like there's like a whole thing about like how that becomes a diocese. I like don't understand or really care about. But like the moon is a part of a diocese, like
Yeah.
because at one point people were on it, therefore it is part of a diocese because it's like a very like places where people are. That is where. So it's a little bit different because it's not just like where are the Catholics? We'll give them a priest. It's like where is the land with people? And so a bishop is in charge of the diocese, and they're like they have like all these responsibilities. And it's actually the bishop who like bears the weight of the salvation of the souls of the people in that geographical area. The priests are also given geographical areas, but all of the powers, that's like withers, but all of the like uh privileges, I guess, that the priests have, like to say the sacraments and stuff like that, that ministry is actually like contingent upon the authority of the bishop. So like it is the bishop who is like from the line of Saint Peter, not the priest. Even though like by extension, like it's totally the priest because like bishop ordains the priest. But it's really like the bishop is like the it figure in Catholicism. Our guy is a charming Italian man who like just like is very he just recently grew a beard, really sent everybody for a loop when he came out with a beard one day. We were like, what's going on? But yeah. Anyway, so it's really the bishops, but I forget what your question. Oh, so the bishop is like kind of like the guy, and then the priests report to the bishop, but it is really like geographic area that matters in Catholicism.
Here's
Okay.
here's a good example to kind of summarize everything that Val said. Here's a good way of thinking of it. Think of how every state has a governor. That's essentially what a bishop is. A bishop is like a governor that controls a specific area. Um, but then there's the Pope, who is like the head of the nation. So the Pope is the head of the nation of Catholicism, but doesn't necessarily have. He has some power over governors, but then governors have certain regional powers that the Pope doesn't have um,
The
over
Pope
certain things.
is a bishop.
Yes, the Pope
Oh.
himself is a bishop. He's referred to as the Bishop of Rome, and he technically makes those decisions for that diocese.
And he is also like what is it? He has like all these like weird titles um like the servant of the servants of God. So like he's supposed to be like he's primarily like the Pope. If you like look at like what like what the Pope does, it's primarily like the responsibilities of the bishop, but he's like the head bishop of bishops,
Of the
but
bishop.
he is still a
Yeah,
bishop.
yeah.
So
Oh, that's cool. So it's
yeah, and so
bishop, pope.
yeah,
You're like, okay.
yep, it's like so. But so here's kind of where I get curious. So the bishops make a lot of random, um, like Matt said, like they have a lot of like decision making. So for example, wish I had an example before I said that. Like if let's say this area of the country has a lot of like Irish people in it. Like Irish people love corned beef and cabbage. And so a couple years ago, St. Patrick's Day fell on Friday during Lent, and the bishop was like, "Whatever, eat meat."
Oh,
You know, and that's like a very like not doesn't really matter decision. But like decisions like that are like made by the so I
okay.
guess then my question is like, so to me, like when I think about like a Protestant pastor, I think of them having like a lot of the same role that a Catholic bishop has. Because like I feel like pastors make a lot of those like calls where in the Catholic Church it's like I don't know, like the priest has very little authority in the Catholic Church. Like, I mean, they obviously like do a lot, and like we need them in all of their, you don't need to feel bad about this. It's not that, but like I just feel like the pastor in a Protestant church is more equivocal to a bishop in the Catholic Church in terms of like decision making and like stuff like that. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how it compares. It's also different like for each like every denomination and every church is
Yeah.
different. So like our church, we have four pastors. We have like other staff members as well. Like there's a I don't know what her official title is, but kind of does the secretary. She's like a
Right.
better name than that, but there's a
The
children's
person who's really in charge.
there's like a children's minister and there's like um my friend works at the church, but I don't know what her title is. But then there's like four like ordained pastors. Like so we have the lead pastor, Pastor Chris, and then like the associate pastor who's under him, Pastor JT, and then we have the youth pastor, Pastor David, and then Pastor Dane, who's the worship pastor. So like
Oh
um
wow.
yeah, so we have like one kind of head guy and associate. So he does like most of the preaching. They do all of them preach, but like he does most of it. I don't know specifically like all their roles, but that's kind of the main thing we see him do. And then Pastor JT is more kind of like community based. Like he's like if you want to join a small group, you'd go to him and like so I think of him this is also my interpretation of what they do. Like they do a lot more than I know, but but I think he's yeah, like yeah, so he's kind of like almost like I think of him as almost like the community aspects of the church kind of. And then
Sure, yeah.
David as the youth pastor, it's like 6th through 12th grade. He does like the weekly youth group meetings and all that stuff.
Right, right.
And then the worship pastor like will lead worship on Sundays and like yeah, all that stuff. So
That's
they all
cool.
have kind of like different roles. And then our church, I don't think this is like every church in our denomination, but like we have a leadership team that's volunteer based. So it's the head pastor and then like it's less than 10 people. But my fun fact, my dad's on it. So
That's awesome.
so it's like the pastor and then there's like I don't know all the organization, but I know there's like the chair and then like the vice chair. And my dad, I think, is he does something with finance, like financial I don't know, financial person, whatever he is. Like, they all kind of have their specific roles within the leadership team, and they make a lot of like decisions, and um, yeah. So like, my dad is the financial person, like him and the chair and like Pastor Chris, like will lead we have annual budget meetings, so they'll like lead that, and they make those decisions and like they'll present them to the congregation and stuff. So sorry, this is like the boring parts of church, but
But it's like fascinating to me because I think that stuff is like very much the same.
yeah,
Like
that's
Yeah.
that kind of structure. Because we
so.
have like a pastoral council, which I don't even know if it
What'd you say?
I don't think it still meets with the pandemic, but we have like a pastoral council and they like do all
Oh. What is that in your church?
it's like an advisory board and like that's
Okay.
similar, like not every church has one, blah blah blah. And it's like
Yeah.
I think I could be on it. I've been kind of thinking that like when the pandemic's over I'll probably
Yes,
join and
Val, you should
Mm.
I'll be like,
do it.
hey, like young voice in the church today.
Yes, Val, do it. You have
Yeah,
my
so like they meet like once a month. I don't know what they do. I'll let you know when I go.
yeah.
My sister's actually the one that wanted to join, but she was like still a kid. I was like, oh, more power to you.
My
That's awesome.
Yeah, we don't. My parish does not have a council. But one thing that I know that we have that's different that I don't think Val realizes that we have that she doesn't have is that we have someone that's like the director of mission. Like
Yeah, that's just because your church like knows what it's doing.
uh,
Sorry, my
that's
church
up.
is very,
If you could
that's
see my
not like a
face, you would
state
realize that
thing.
that's up for
Like I
debate.
think everyone should have one.
That's up for debate. But the point is that the we have a director of mission that's like, okay, how do we position ourselves, like, how do we best reach our, parishioners, that sort of thing. Like, I feel like it's almost the role of a of a council wrapped into a office role, um, essentially. So it's like, yeah.
And
Uh,
is it of like a volunteer or is it like a paid position in your church?
oh no, it's a paid position.
Oh, cool. That's
So
neat.
yeah, like we had a person that did like communication stuff that was like considered a communications manager, which I know is also different. Uh,
Yeah.
that was like,
Yeah, my church, when I was working there, probably had like 15 employees,
yeah.
but that was just like it was like really big. Like we just have a really big church, so like bookkeeping is like a whole position and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, we have an enormous bookkeeping. We have like one full time, two part time, plus an entire team of volunteers.
Wait, what is like what do you mean by book?
Like accounting, like
Like
they they
finance.
Oh, okay.
they take in the checks, they
Okay.
they track it in the various accounts that it goes to, because like for my parish
Make sure
specifically we
everybody
have
gets
like,
their tax breaks.
yes, that too, they track that, but then they also track like, okay, they gave this much for their weekly offering. There's occasionally a second collection that goes to a special cause of some kind. Sometimes it goes to a specific organization, like a I don't know, like a mission group wants to have a second collection, or oh, the regional Catholic school. There's an example. We collect for them and we give them proceeds of the money, or we
Nuns
get all the
with
money.
toes for
Yeah.
hands. Like
Yeah.
it gets weirdly specific.
Or then we also have like a third monthly one for my parish. It's for a special capital campaign, because we just redid our entire bell tower, and our bell tower is like the tallest in the city and is like historic because it's like
Whoa.
Matt, I feel like I'm in a St. John's staff meeting right now.
250 years old. No, you aren't, I promise.
Do you guys actually well, no, it's about giving. Let's talk about that another time. I feel like that's a
Oh
tangent.
yeah, let's totally talk about time. I'm on a huge like tithing kick. Not that I'm being generous, just that I'm like now that I like have a paycheck, like it's just this concept that is like more relevant to me now when I had money coming in instead of going out. But yeah, so that would be very.
Yeah, let's do that.
I wrote it down.
Sweet. Oh, good,
Okay.
good.
Can I ask some like more controversial questions a little bit?
Before we
Yeah,
get to that,
no guaranteed answers, but you
Matt, I
can
swear, if you talk to me about bookkeeping.
no, I don't want to talk about bookkeeping. I wanted to double back, and I just wanted to talk about the idea of a youth pastor, because like I always hear that, and I hear it not just with your denomination but with others, and I just want to get clarification. A youth pastor isn't like a traditional pastor in a sense that on a Sunday he preaches, but he preaches specifically to the youth. Like it's essentially like they do the religious education sort of stuff, like teaching the kids the faith sort of thing, right? That's what you
Yeah, so
mean?
we have like children's ministry which goes up to 5th grade and then youth ministry that is 6th grade to the end of high school. So like but it's we don't have as like a set religious education really. Like
Okay.
there's
Mm,
children's church like so they'll like usually in a pre-COVID service like they'll at part of the church they have like the children's message so like all the kids will go up to the front of the church and sit and then like one of the pastors will like give a message to them but it's funny because then they like ask the kids questions like, you
Oh,
know,
I love that.
yeah, what's your favorite whatever? And then they'll say like something crazy and their parents will blush and then all the kids go downstairs
Star
for
Wars. I like Star Wars.
yeah,
Not what I asked.
yeah. So then they go down to their like children's church and then they have other like family events and stuff. That was really
Not
long. But
Catholic churches also have that.
oh
I think it's weird when you do it at mass. Like it like looks better in Protestantism. I feel like
Yeah.
it's just like awkward during mass. But anyway, sorry. Continue.
But
but oh no,
yeah.
you're good. So that's children. So you asked about youth. So the so what we do at our church is like David's a youth pastor and there's like a weekly um middle school group, like youth group for 6th to 8th graders that they're called Surge, and then Highlight, which I'm currently helping with, so I can answer questions about that. That's like
Really?
the youth group for the high schoolers. So they have the weekly youth group, and then they'll have like events and stuff too. But David does preach sometimes, like all the pastors rotate. It's mainly the head pastor, but then the other three will rotate. Um,
Mm.
so he does preach. He also does a lot of like he's really good at like one-on-one meetings with students. Like he'll meet them. The inside scoop is the place. That's
I
a
know. Yes.
yeah. So
Oh,
he like individual like meetings he does and stuff, and then planning and
wow.
they have like retreats too. Like I think there's a 4, 5, 6 retreat, like fourth, fifth, sixth grade retreat, and then there's a seventh and eighth, and then a high school, and those are within the denomination. So like it's with students
Oh.
yeah, so students from all over in our denomination, or it might just be the East Coast Conference. I'm not sure, but like we have like I don't know, our like denomination has like a retreat center summer camp area.
Mm.
So like yeah, so that's the high schoolers don't go there, but like they'll do retreats like for Covenant 7th and 8th grade students, and like they'll all go to Pilgrim Pines is the name of it in New
So
Hampshire.
fun.
Yeah, so there's like those retreats are like he'll do mission trips with like the high schoolers or like something like that. So that was a very long answer, but
Oh,
that's the gist of the youth ministry, I guess. And then confirmation. I know confirmation's a big thing for you guys, and like so when I was there, it was 8th grade, and it was like separate from no, was it? Yes, it was. It was separate from youth group. So like confirmation was Wednesday nights, and excuse me, it was more like a class, and there was like homework and tests and stuff. And but now he's made it so it's seventh and 8th grade, and it's like part of the youth group, and it's not as formal. Like there's not tests or like homework.
Yeah.
So it's way less formal.
That's
Um,
really
which
good.
I think is good. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
good. Because there was like
It's
another
appropriate.
yeah. So that's changed, but confirmation's a thing for middle schoolers.
okay.
That's cool.
Anyway, sorry, long
Yeah.
answer.
No.
Can
Then
I
help put it
clarify
in.
why I was cracking up?
What?
I just want to clarify why I was laughing so hard.
Oh yeah.
So I was just picturing, like, because Matt said something along the lines of, like, so is, like, the youth pastor, do they, like, just get up, like, during the church and, like, talk to the youth? And so all I was thinking was, like, not that, but, like, the pastor gets done, like, giving, like, a regular sermon, and then, like, some, like, young guy with, like, joggers, like, runs up and is like, "Hey, all you youth, stop smoking crack."
So you literally just
And then
pictured
he, like,
me.
goes back to his seat.
Our youth
Y-
pastor wears joggers though, so
You
not
just
really.
All youth pastors wear joggers. It's like a job requirement.
I'm wearing joggers right now. You were picturing me running up there and doing it.
No, I wasn't.
Okay,
You don't have
well,
that accent. But you know, like obviously they'd be wearing like joggers, and probably like a denim button up because it's Sunday, and like flannel. It's not fancy.
you have a beanie on too, like I do. Like
Not during church.
he takes it off when he goes up. No.
Hey, you gotta take it off. Show some respect for the Lord.
Well, no, I appreciate your answer because it helped clear it up. Because it's in the Catholic Church, we don't necessarily have someone like it's a designated youth priest. We have young priests, if that counts for anything, which are like kind of
not
you know,
No.
like they don't really.
Disagree.
Yeah, we don't, but we don't
Well,
have
because we
youth
have youth
pastors.
ministers that are ordained priests.
We do?
Yeah, it's like a
I had
really
no
common
idea.
position for recently. Yeah, like a recently ordained priest will like go work in a parish, but they're like the youth minister. So like I
It's
was a youth minister, but like sometimes that position is held by an ordained.
that is not a thing
Oh,
in my
cool.
diocese. Probably
Yeah,
because we are stretched thin.
it's not super common, but like it does happen pretty frequently. Or like an associate pastor will like also like a young priest, if they're the associate pastor, they'll also hold the position of youth minister.
Oh,
Interesting.
cool.
Yeah,
And
or like same with like campus minister, you know, like sometimes they're an ordained priest, sometimes they're not.
so did you like what was your role when you were the youth minister?
I was never the youth minister. I was like a youth minister ish person. So my role was a lot of like bless you, planning events, going on mission trips. I would do like plan retreats, give talks. I did some like more formal religious education. Like I had PowerPoints,
Ooh.
with like pictures of Jesus on them. You're like,
Wow.
there's another. I just like some, you know, something for the kids to look at. So, but they were usually just like different like random paintings of stuff that we were talking about. Also, it helps me like keep my thoughts in a logical order when I'm just like talking. But yeah, so I helped with confirmations. I helped with um stuff like that. I did do small groups. I had a small group of high schoolers. Yeah, so it kind of as kind of the needs of my diocese have fluctuated, like so too have the positions. And like what is asked of us by the bishop. So different stuff has like waxed and waned, like social media, things like that, like as the bishop and the diocese roll out more regulations for like social media and stuff like that, our role changes. So because we have to be obedient, which is one of the harder parts of being a like Valerie, because I don't love being obedient. But it is really good though, because if you know, like you can go about it in a very like virtuous way. But yeah, so kind of like changed. I did a lot of random things, like whatever project like was thrown my way. It was kind of like what I did. So, but like a regular youth minister is usually has some like responsibility for confirmation and things like that, and like reaching out to parents, helping parents with resources if like a kid has trouble, you know, of any kind, like a faith related kind, or you know, different like high risk behaviors. The youth minister sometimes like asked to like talk with them or something like that. So yeah, I don't know, kind of like changes, but it's a fun job, I gotta say. Like it's a good one. It's like definitely a very like spiritually taxing job to be in
Mm.
active ministry. Spiritually and emotionally taxing. So. With
Yeah.
my current money job, as I like to call it, just kidding, also the money. I think that would just be a little bit much for me, which I don't anymore because
Yeah, no, it sounds like a pretty like involved role. Like that's a lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is for sure, and it requires a lot. I think a lot of like, especially because youth are changing so quickly with like technology, and especially like now with COVID, there's just a lot of creativity required.
Yeah. Oh, that's
So
cool. You're like perfect. I feel like you're like I feel like the high school age group, I feel like you would be I mean, I feel like you also go with children though. So
I
anyone.
love high schoolers. So I do have right now like on like you know working in a more clinical capacity. I occasionally work with teenagers, and I occasionally work with like young toddlers, and like after working with young toddlers, having a teenager come in and just like being able to be sarcastic with them is just about my favorite thing in the world. Like I'm like, yeah, let's make some jokes. But sometimes it's fun to just have that like innocence, be like, look, a chicken, and like they're like so happy about it. It's nice. It's nice mixed up. But yeah. So anyway, yeah, that's those are church positions. But I have a lot of questions about like I guess, like, doctrine in the non-Catholic Christian groups. Like, for example, so in the Catholic Church, if you do not believe like certain things, then you're not considered Catholic. Like different like random stuff about Mary, but like definitely a lot of stuff about Jesus. Like, hey, if you don't believe that Jesus is God, like you can't be a Catholic. Like you can call yourself Catholic, you can show up, but like you're not a Catholic if you don't believe that Jesus is God. That's 100% required. And like, like if you believe that like Jesus is the like Jesus is God, but like God the Father is not God, or like whatever. Like you have to believe in the Trinity and like all that stuff and the incarnation, other stuff, I'm sure. But I'm wondering, so like if I walk into, oh, first I can guess this is a question. So like if I like drive down the road and I like show up at Bethany Covenant and like just like go to church there, like I'm obviously like not a church member. What the heck is going on with the squeaking?
That's my chair. Sorry.
Sorry, I just got super distracted. I was like,
It's just super loud.
I'm in a very distractible headspace today, and I'm
Apparently.
blue in my hair. There's ambient squeaking because I can't see you move, so I can't like equate it with anything. Sorry, but like obviously, so if I just like show up to Bethany Covenant, I'm like not a church member. So if I like become a church member, like am I just automatically Christian? Like what does it mean to be a Christian in the I don't know. I don't know what I'm asking, but like I know what I want to know.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm not entirely sure. I mean, there's definitely I don't know. I don't think there is like a person like over all the Protestant churches, like I think our denomination has certain like affirmations and stuff. I wait, hold on, I pulled them up. There's
Ooh.
6 for like the covenant. Like centrality, we affirm the centrality of the word of God, necessity of the new birth, commitment to the whole mission of the church. Church is a fellowship of believers, conscious dependence on the Holy Spirit, and the reality of freedom in Christ. But like so but that's not to be a Christian. That's like the stance. That's like the
Like to be an evangelical covenant member.
but also like I'm not a member at my church. Like so I've grown up in my church like I've gone to there since I was like 5, but I've never like to be a member, like technically be a member. There's like you take a short like class and I think you do talk to the pastor about where you're at with your faith. Um
Okay.
and then there's like membership Sunday and there's like the members will go to new members will go to the front and they'll ask the members questions like, do you believe this and this and this? Although I don't know what those things
Oh.
are, which is probably exactly what you're asking. But and then they'll ask the congregation like, do you promise to like support and these new members or what in good language. So and then everyone says we do. So there is like a process around being a member, but like I'm not like technically a member, but like
Whoa.
I could be a member. I feel like there is an option after confirmation. There is like if you're done confirmation and want to be a member, like here's a class. And then I never did it. And then I was like, oh, I'm gonna be going off to college soon. And then
Right.
I ended up doing college like commuting from home. So I still go to this church and just never became a member and figured that at some point I'm gonna move away, not like a way away, but like, maybe a couple towns over, a different state and go to a different church. So like
Right.
I become a member at Bethany? I don't know. I don't think it really matters. Like the thing about membership, I don't know all the details about it, but they do like count members. Like how many members do we have? Like this, and members. I think I said this one time, and this. I think this was the comment that started the whoa. We need to talk about church structure. Members can vote, so I can't vote.
Oh yeah, this fascinates the crap out of me. I'm so interested.
But like I can't vote, so maybe I should become a member because then I could like have a say. But
So what do you vote on? This is what I want to know. Like, what do you vote on? Like,
yeah,
not like, hey, should we have the Bible? Like, obviously not that, but like, what?
no, yeah, like we can't like change the covenants like doctrine or
Okay.
anything like from our church. I know they have.
Right.
I think the denomination has an annual meeting and like representatives from each church will go. So like
Mhm.
there was a conflict with the church that wasn't like abiding by all the covenant like affirmations or something, and they had a meeting about that. Like I I think it was like the covenant, and then like different like our pastor and one of our previous pastors went like on behalf of Bethany. But anyway, so excuse me, the our meetings are about like things at our church, like there's an annual like budget meeting about the budget obviously, and then there's the
Mhm.
annual, I think that's in June, and then an annual meeting about the kind of a recap of the year and other stuff in like October, November or something. So
Mhm.
yeah, but there's different stuff. Like we do vote on like the budget. Like, do you approve? I think it's like, do you agree with the budget that like the budget team has like already made? Like we don't like hash it out together, but it's like needs the approval of the congregation or something.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah, and then we also have things like our church was, if our like if we wanted to build an addition to our building, or like we just our church just decided we're going to build like a pavilion like out in our like field area because we're realizing like the need for outdoor space, especially right now. um
yeah.
so like members had to vote on that, and we also vote for like when we do have a change in pastor, like they do need to get approved by the congregation by whatever percentage of the people at the meeting. Um, yeah,
That's really cool.
yeah. So I think that's. Other than that, I'm not really sure what the downside of like not being a member is, but I can't like my vote doesn't count for those things. So
Right. That's like so okay. You like absolutely blew my mind when you were talking about like the promises and stuff like that, because that is, it sounds like super similar to Catholics have baptismal promises that obviously, like, all right, are baptism. Duh. Which when you get baptized as an infant, your godparents and your parents, I don't know who does what because I was a baby. But like they they make those promises for you. So it's like, do you believe in God the Father, blah 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 blah. Like, do you believe in this? Like, do you renounce? Okay, this is a word for the Catholic Church. We need to stop putting the "do you reject Satan" bit like right at the beginning, because the thing is, sometimes I'm not paying attention and you're like, "Do you reject Satan?" and I don't say yes. I just, I'm like, what? We're doing this again? But anyway, so it's like, do you reject Satan? Do you believe in, like, that Jesus is whatever? I wish I um
but I think we have a similar thing in baptisms too, like kind of that same like kind of like question we do kind of thing.
yeah, and then like when you're uh going through RCIA, like if you get confirmed later in life as an adult or and baptized, then you make these promises in front of the congregation and you become an official member of the Catholic Church. Which is why it seemed so similar, because it's like on Easter Vigil they all come to the front and they ask all these promises, and so yeah, it's like, yeah, so like this is the thing. This is the squeaky wheel that needs this grease in the Catholic Church. Then the first question is, do you reject Satan? And I know that there's like more to it, so I don't say I do. I always just skip it because I'm like waiting for the rest, and everybody's like I do, and then they're moved on, and I'm like I also reject Satan, but like they're like 3 miles away.
Well, well,
I
I'm
Val,
also
very
they
stressful
think
for me.
Satan. I think Satan would love that he's the first topic. Like I think we need to put him at the end. Like he
I
doesn't
think it's
deserve the
like
first place.
I think it's like they want you to like reject Satan and accept God. It's like the, like, you
That
gotta
makes,
like empty it, fill it up.
okay, that makes sense. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
I think
out with
that's
the
what
bad, in
the
with the good.
but it just stinks for me.
But isn't it? Doesn't it go? You say it goes. Do you reject Satan? I do, and all his works I do.
Yeah,
Do you accept?
and
And then it goes
and
on to
all
the
his
list.
empty promises. I
Oh,
do.
that's
Do
I
you believe
forgot
in
about that
God,
part.
Father Almighty, Creator of heaven and earth? I do. Do you believe in Jesus Christ, His only Son, our Lord, who was born of the Virgin Mary, who was crucified, died, and was buried, rose from the dead, and is now seated at the right hand of the Father?
How could I forget about all the empty promises? How could I forget?
And all the empty promises. Don't forget, he's a lying little snake.
So aside from what Val is referring to as becoming a member of the Catholic Church, like you go through the sacraments, yeah, but then to become a member of a parish, at least for my parish, it doesn't involve some sort of special ceremony. It's you walk into the parish office. This is pre-COVID, obviously. You fill out some forms. You decide if you're gonna do like e-giving for your tithing or get envelopes mailed to you every month with what's going on and giving that way, and that's it. I guess you fill out your family members that are going to be coming with you.
Yeah, I think you do need to get your baptismal records and stuff like that.
Oh yeah, probably. You have to. I think you have to name the places that you got that like baptized and stuff, or have a copy of it or something like that. But it's not like getting him in like the pastor doesn't, at least mine doesn't, call the new members up and be like, these are our new members, that doesn't happen.
They should though.
They should. That
like,
I mean,
I'm should be like, hey, like, where are you at? Like, do you need to, like, would you like to be a part of this community? We're just like, how are you gonna give us money? Nice to meet you. Like, again,
welcome.
We got some things to work out, everybody.
I think I'm glad you put it, Max. I think members are expected to tithe. I forgot about that part. Like, I mean, they want everyone to tithe. Like, they would want me to tithe, but like, I think it's more expected of members.
Yeah. I mean, that would make sense. Like, if you're registered at a place.
But
now that we're COVID-y, I just I give online to my parish, but previously I would just give to whatever parish I was at. Yeah, just put it in the basket.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
my quarter.
I think also part of it has to do with like becoming a member. Also has to do with like, this is gonna go sort of businessy. Kind of have to do with like the whole tax write-off of giving, because it like they essentially track what you're giving. Because like you can give cash, but you can't really write that off as well because there's no records of it necessarily.
Well, if you can, my parish you make an account.
Oh, I'm just saying,
so, I'm not technically registered because I'm still under my parents. Because I haven't done anything, but I have an account for tithing specifically.
No, we don't have that.
Yeah, we don't either. Oh.
So I can actually pull up an invoice of everything that I've done this year.
Or we might, but I'm just completely ignorant because I'm also not a member of my parish.
But neither am I. I was just during COVID, I felt guilty because a lot of people weren't tithing because they weren't in person.
Right. Yeah.
And I was I was still working, so I was I should probably. That's actually when I started thinking about tithing recently. I was the elderly can't tithe because they don't know how to work the computer. And they're usually holding down the fort. So maybe because I am still an able-bodied person able to work, I just maybe that a little more seriously. So yeah.
Yeah, my parents we just mail the envelopes. We put the envelopes in a larger envelope and put the address and just mail them in a batch.
I would like to tithe online so it's easy, but still get free envelopes.
Yeah.
Whoever's in charge, I want some envelopes.
Yeah, they just don't. They're like many things in the Catholic Church, and my parents are very similar. They're resistant to change. So they don't.
You send me envelopes, yeah, I send you money, and it's just not in. Anyway, this is not what we came on here to talk about. My elbow feels good today. It's very dry. I have a dry patch on my elbow.
Here's distracted Val part 2 again.
Listen, I worked a lot of hours today.
So do you guys think while we're not on a question, since it's about 8:30, do you want to wrap it up here and maybe do part 2? Because I feel like we have a lot of more things to talk about in this.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
So we can do Protestant Pope part 2. Oh, but the answer is there is no Protestant Pope. We just there isn't one.
Yeah, clickbait.
Now we can't call the second part 2. But we can use that other title I suggested that I'm not going to spoil, but I mentioned it before the show. Anyway, going.
Yeah, well, this was fun. I think it's important to realize like the day-to-day life of Christianity too is
Yeah.
so similar between the two of us. And there's I think a lot of
Yes.
frustrations and just like communion that can be had in just the ordinariness and how similar it can be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Yes.
All right.
So
Well, I'll cut us there and follow us on Instagram,
there's nothing on there. Actually, maybe just give that a week.
but still follow it because
Oh,
you won't
yeah.
know if there's anything on there until you follow it.
Prize coming.
And when you watch it, there could be something on it by then.
Maybe.
That's true.
Nothing
Who
on it
knows?
as of September 22nd,
Second.
2020.
At 8:30 and 22 seconds, there's nothing on there. So,
Alright.
anyway, I'll go ahead and send us out.
We
See
should have
ya.
like concluding music.
Okay, yeah, we should, but we don't.